Today I'm going to demonstrate the ABO and RH typing using the tube method. Blood grouping is a way to determine an individual's blood type based on the antigens they have on their red cells. Since not all blood types are compatible with one another, it is essential during blood transfusions in order to prevent potentially fatal transfusion reactions or during pregnancy when an RH negative mother could potentially harm her unborn fetus if they were RH incompatible. Blood typing is done through both forward and reverse reactions. Forward typing is done by mixing the patient's blood with commercially prepared serum that contains antibodies against type A blood and again with serum that contains antibodies against type B blood. RH factor is also determined by using serum that contains AB against RH factor. Reverse typing is performed by mixing a patient's serum with blood that is known type A and known type B. Now that the forward and reverse procedures have been explained, I am going to discuss the materials needed for the ABO and RH typing. To begin, you will need a blood typing kit. This usually includes anti-A, anti-B, anti-AB, anti-D, which is RH, and the RH control, A1 cells, which is used for the reverse typing, B cells, saline for making a cell suspension, test tubes, a centrifuge, pipettes, and your patient's blood sample. Since serum is needed for the reverse typing, you do need to spin down your sample, and to save time I have already done this. So this is the serum needed, and this is the red blood cells. To begin, we are going to start with the forward typing procedure. You will need 5 test tubes, and you're going to properly label them with a capital A, capital B, AB, D, and D control, which will be used for the RH factor control. For the reverse typing, you will need 2 tubes. I'm going to label them lowercase a so they don't get confused, and lowercase b. We are also going to need to make a 3% cell suspension, which is used for the forward typing, so I'm going to label a test tube with 3%. Okay, we'll begin with the forward method first. We are going to take our A tube and our anti-A reagent, gently mix it, and place 1 to 2 drops into the A tube. We're going to take our anti-B reagent, gently mix, place 1 to 2 drops into the B tube. Take our anti-AB reagent, gently mix, place 1 to 2 in the AB tube. Take our anti-D, which is our RH factor, place 1 to 2 in the D tube. Nope, we don't want bubbles. Okay. And our D control, we'll put the RH control in. Okay, we are now going to go on to the reverse method. We're going to use the lowercase a tube and take the serum that we have separated from our red cells. Place 1 to 2 drops in the lowercase a tube, and 1 to 2 drops in the lowercase b tube. The next step is making our 3% cell suspension. So we're going to take our red cells, which we have separated from our serum, and our 3% labeled tube, and we're going to place a few drops of the red cells into 3% tube. And then now we're going to slowly add saline. I'm going to use a pipette. And this is what we'll use to dilute the red cells. Okay, and after you think you have enough, you can gently mix it up and down. This seems a little thick still, so I'm going to add more saline. Okay. And slowly mix up and down. And to see if it's at the right suspension, you're going to check with the A1 cells. This is a pretty good comparison, so I'm going to keep this. We are now going to add 1 drop of this cell suspension to the forward typing tube. So I'm going to move these over. We're going to add 1 drop into the A tube. 1 drop into the B tube. 1 drop into the AB tube. 1 into the D tube. And 1 to 2 into the D control tube. For the reverse typing, we are now going to add our reagents. We're going to add 1 to 2 drops of A1 cells into the lowercase a. Gently mix the B cells. And add 1 to 2 drops into the lowercase b. Mix. Now these are all going to get added into, or placed into the centrifuge, where they will be spun down for 15 seconds. You have to make sure it's properly balanced, so if you need to, you can use a blank tube with just distilled water in it. Okay, now that all the tubes are properly balanced into the centrifuge, we're going to put it on for 15 seconds. Make sure it's closed. And then hit the start button. Centrifuge is complete. So we'll take out all the tubes. This is just our blank. We're going to start by reading the forward reverse tubes first. I'm going to put these over here. Okay, to read the reactions, you're going to be checking for agglutination. You want to gently tap the bottom to try to get the button off. Okay, and if it clumps, which this is clumping, this would be a positive reaction. So taking your result sheet, you would write positive for the anti-A. With this being positive, it means that the patient does have A antigens on their cell surface. We'll do the same for the B. Gently tap the button. There's no agglutination, so they are negative for B. We would write negative in the anti-B. Okay. We'll check the AB tube. Gently dislodge the button. And check for clumping, which this is largely positive. So we'll mark that on the result sheet. Now we'll check the anti-D tube. Gently dislodge the button. It's large positive clumping, so it's positive for D. Again, we're going to check the RH control tube. This tube should be negative, so if there is clumping, the testing would be invalid. And there is no clumping, so we're okay. Okay, now we're going to check the reverse tubes. We'll start with A. Gently dislodge the button. And there is no agglutination. So we'll put a negative under A1. For the B tube, dislodge the button. And there is clumping, so it's positive for B. A person that typed positive for anti-A, negative for anti-B, positive for anti-AB, negative for A1 cells, and positive for B cells would be considered type A blood. A person that was negative for anti-A, positive for anti-B, positive for anti-AB, positive for A1 cells, and negative for B cells would be considered type B blood. If a person was positive for anti-A, positive for anti-B, positive for anti-AB, and negative for A1 and B cells, they would be considered type AB blood. If a person was negative for anti-A, anti-B, anti-AB, but tested positive for A1 and B cells, they would be considered type O blood. For Rh factor, if a person tested positive for Rh anti-D, they would be considered Rh positive. Since our patient tested positive for anti-A, negative for anti-B, positive for anti-AB, negative for A1 cells, and positive for B cells, our person is considered type A blood. Since the patient tested positive for anti-D, they are considered type A positive blood.